And U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrives in Indonesia. Washington is looking to shore up ties with Southeast Asia as China's influence grows. Now, staying on that topic, we get more from on the Secretary's visit. Professor Thitinan Pongsudhirak joins us live. Professor, there have been concerns that the U.S. is somewhat lagging behind China when it comes to deepening economic and strategic ties with ASEAN. So how much of Blinken's trip to Southeast Asia is about China and plugging this gap?
Well, I think the trip has China written all over it. And you have to view the trip in conjunction with the, for example, the Summit for Democracy and other moves like the Mekong region, the Mekong-U.S. partnership, the South China Sea, the visits earlier by Secretary of Defense Austin and Vice President Harris. So the U.S. is kind of in a tag team, in a kind of a full court press, if you will. And now they're going through not just Vietnam and Singapore as before, but now following through, Blinken will go to Jakarta, Kuala Lumpur, and then Bangkok. So they're trying to fill all their bases, cover all their bases in Southeast Asia, upping their game. I think they realized that they were a bit behind, but now they're trying to catch up. I think you'll hear also about the Mekong region a bit more. The South China Sea, we've heard a lot before, but now I think the mainland Southeast Asia, the U.S. wants to be more engaged in.
As the U.S. plays catch-up in this region, Professor Thitinan, U.S.-China competition aside, what does the U.S. renewed engagement with the region signal?
Well, it signals that I think the Biden administration has some continuity with Trump. Remember that we saw earlier with President Trump, pushing back against China, trade tariff war, and we thought Biden might be a little bit different. But in fact, there's now a bipartisan consensus in the U.S. To push back against China. So Biden is now looking, I think, to set the theme and think maybe an overarching strategy for Southeast Asia, which has become the main battleground now in the U.S.-China geostrategic competition and rivalry. And the U.S. knows under Biden that China has made a lot of inroads through BRI and through influence and so on, and also that ASEAN, Southeast Asia has been divided by China. So the U.S. now, I think, wants to maybe provide some support and reassurance, and maybe to build capital in certain countries, especially among the allies, the Philippines, Thailand, but also partners, Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore. It might realize that Cambodia and Laos will be much harder, and also Myanmar will be much harder. So, Southeast Asia is very motley, it's a mix, but the U.S. now clearly is trying to make its own inroads, and we'll see Blinken doing that in these three capitals in shortly.
I thought it was very interesting to hear you speak of some continuity between the past administration into this administration's policies. I ask because during the trip, Blinken is expected to deliver an address on the U.S. approach towards Indo-Pacific. How do you see this Biden administration? What approach do you see Biden administration taking?
Well, the Indo-Pacific is another sign and evidence of continuity from Trump to Biden and this bipartisan consensus that they have in the U.S. now. And the Indo-Pacific, as you know, has a quad of 4 countries, U.S., Australia, Japan, and India. They've been pressing that hard, especially the U.S. and Australia. But now, even beyond that, above that, they now have the Australia, UK, U.S. Trilateral Security Partnership. This is something new. I think the Biden administration might be concerned that some ASEAN members may be a bit distrustful and uneasy with AUKUS, the AUKUS. So this is a multiple-purpose trip, I think, to show up alliances, Philippines, Thailand, to build on partnerships with Singapore and Vietnam and Malaysia, Indonesia. And then to really overall stick it up on the Mekong mainland, Southeast Asia, South China Sea, we'll see more. So, really upping their game all around China. What we have to be concerned about is what's happening inside China. I think that we're not listening and hearing enough from inside China. And it's a little bit alarming. And here in Southeast Asia, what we don't want to see is this rivalry and competition getting out of hand, where Southeast Asian countries have to choose between either one, China or the U.S. This is what we don't want to see. So we have to bear that in mind. And Blinken should know that this is not where Southeast Asia wants to go.
Well, many of those Southeast Asian countries have adamantly said that they would not be pushed to choosing and that they didn't want to have to do that. But you surmise that the United States might face some challenges with some countries in ASEAN, Laos and Cambodia as an example. They're perceived as China's most trusted political allies in Southeast Asia. Is there a pressing need, Professor, for the United States to perhaps update ties outside its traditional alliances with these countries, and to what end?
Well, Southeast Asia has been divided within, as we can see, over the last decade. Laos, Cambodia, very clearly on the China side. And then Myanmar now, after the coup, in between, I think China has more influence certainly than the U.S. So Blinken certainly will talk a lot about Myanmar during his visit, especially in Thailand. And then the U.S. will be looking to show up and build on allies, especially the Philippines. I think they have resuscitated and rebuilt to a great degree now the bilateral alliance. Thailand is a little bit out of action for the U.S. And I think the visit here is to reassure Thai policy elites that they have not forgotten about Thailand. Austin and Vice President Harris did not visit Thailand, and I think now Blinken is the most senior, most high-level visit to Thailand. So they want to show up that alliance, and then they want to build other partnerships in order to kind of push back against China, because they feel that China has made a lot of gains in the region, and the region is turning to China's side. So this is something that we, again, don't want to see. The rivalry competition can go too far, and Secretary of State Blinken will have to be careful not to exert too much pressure, because around here, even Cambodia and Laos, who seem all in on China, all around here, no one wants to choose one side or the other, one way or the other.
We always appreciate your insight, Professor Thitinan Pongsudhirak from Chulalongkorn University. Thank you.